Hello everyone and welcome. In this video I will try to show you how to apply the student test in Excel. But firstly, please remember we cannot apply the student test if we don't have a normal distribution. To check the normal distribution we have three possibilities. To see if mean and median have almost equal values here in the middle. The second possibility is to check graphically using a histogram, and the third possibility is to use a Kolmogorov-Smirnov or Shapiro-Wilk test to check the normality. Now let's return please to our small database, and as you can see here we have some qualitative and dichotomical variables like gender, treatment and healing, and some other quantitative and continuous variables like diameter of the ulceration. Sorry for my mistake, here is the English database. So gender, aspirin and recovery are three dichotomical variables. The other ones that take numerical values are quantitative and continuous variables. These are normally distributed so we can apply the student test. Here we have the initial diameter of the ulceration before the patients take the treatment. Here we have the diameter after 6 months of treatment with placebo or aspirin, and here we have the differences between the first and the second diameter. So we will take the aspirin group and the differences into a new worksheet. Now we need to see very well the difference between patients that take placebo and patients that receive aspirin. For that we need to sort the treatment columns. So we will sort from Z to A. And now we can see clearly that these first 200 subjects receive placebo, and from the line 202 there are subjects that receive aspirin. So now, sorry for that, I need a red here. So now we can compare the averages regarding this difference in diameters between the first diameter and the diameter after the treatment, between the placebo and the aspirin group. To apply the student test, firstly we need to go to data, and there we will find in the end data analysis. If data analysis is not available there for you, you should use this button and search here more commands. Then you should check at ins, and from there go, and please check here the box for analysis toolpack and then OK. Data analysis should appear in your data menu in the end. After that you select data analysis. Just in the end you will find the three possibilities for student test to compare the means or the averages between the groups. The first one is for paired samples, when subjects in the first sample have exactly the same characteristics as the subjects in the second group. So they have the same age, the same weight, the same comorbidities, for example. They should use a pairing method when they create the groups, not in our case. So in our case we have two independent samples. The other possibility is to work on twins to have pair groups, not in our case. So we should choose between t-test for equal variances or t-test for unequal variances. Between these two statistical tests we will choose after applying the f-test. The f-test would tell us if our variances are equal or not. So we will select the f-test firstly. At variable 1 range we will select from B2 to 201. So the difference in diameters for the patients that receive placebo. For variable 2 range, we will select from B202 till the end for all the patients that receive aspirin. On the column B, do not forget. We will not check labels because we have not titles there. We select an output range for our test just here in D2, then we will press OK. Here is our f-test for variances. So we can see clearly that the p-value here it's lower than 0.05. The null hypothesis when we test the variances tells us that there is not statistically significant difference between the variances. Because we reject here the null hypothesis, the difference between the variances exists, so we have unequal variances in this case. Now we can apply the proper student test. We will go back to data analysis, and there we will find the t-test assuming unequal variances. That's our test. Let's try it. So we will have the same input range from the first variable for placebo from B2 to B201, and for variable number 2 from B202 to B401 without labels, and output range should be just here. Then press OK. Here it's our t-test. So after applying the f-test, we can successfully apply the student test. Here at student test, we can see that for variable 1, that is placebo, we have an average difference between the diameters of 21 millimeters. And for variable 2, that is aspirin, we have an average difference between the two diameters of 23. Is this difference of 2 millimeters statistically significant between the groups? We will check the p-value. Here it's our p-value for two-tailed p. So our p-value is again lower than 0.05 or even lower than 0.001. So the results are highly significant in our case, and there is indeed a statistically significant difference between placebo group and aspirin group regarding the reduction of diameter after treatment. These 2 millimeters are indeed statistically significant, but this significance regards only the values and that mathematical condition, not really indeed our clinical purpose, because 2 millimeters difference is not very significant in clinical domain. 2 millimeters is such a little difference. Now let's return please to our main database, and here we will take the aspirin, and well, we don't need aspirin anymore, we don't need a treatment. We want to see if there is a difference, a statistically significant difference between first and second diameter of the ulceration. So we will copy these columns with diameters into a new worksheet. Now I'm sure you know that we have pair groups between is the first diameter and the diameter after the treatment. So each patient is his own pair in the second group. This patient have an initial diameter of 16, and after the treatment he have a diameter of 12 millimeters. The patient number 6 have an initial diameter of 31, and after the treatment only 19. So now we will use the student test for pair groups. We will go back to data analysis, and from there we will choose t-test for pair groups. It is much more simple in this case. For variable 1, we should use from A1 to A401. For variable 2, we should use here from B1 to B401. We should choose labels here. Check labels, please, because the name of the variables are here on the first row, so we will use labels, and the output range should be in D2, then OK. Here is our student test for pair groups, and please check the p-value here. Well, D1 is the first diameter of the ulceration, and D2 is the second diameter after the treatment. You can see from 23 millimeters, in the end, after the treatment, we have only 1 millimeter left on average. So, even looking at these numbers, you can say that there is indeed a difference after administering the treatment. Now, let's see the p-value. The p-value is 5 point something. But please do not forget about this E- in the end, because this will tell us that the p-value is very, very low, even lower than 0.0001. So here we have in fact a very, very low p-value and a highly statistically significant result. So again, we can reject the null hypothesis that tells us there is not a statistically significant between the initial and the final diameter after the treatment, and there is indeed a significant difference after giving them the treatment. Thanks a lot for your attention. Hope this was useful for you. Have a wonderful day.